Hello, Middle-earth SBG team fans and LTR SBG team gamers. We're here with our video. It's going to be a very special video for us. Our 900 subscriber video. So we have not as of the making of this video, we have 900 subscribers. Could be less now. Could be more. Hopefully, it's more.
YouTube.
Yeah.
Biometric.
So when we got to 100 subscribers, we made a video thanking our fans, thanking everybody who stuck with us, supported the channel, even thank people who don't subscribe but watch our videos. I mean, all that means a lot. So I have a series of questions. We have everybody here involved in the channel, and I have a series of questions. We never really talked about the past and why we started the channel, why we got into the hobby, how we got into the hobby. And so all three of us are going to answer these questions. And there's about 7 of them. So this is for you guys, 900 subscribers. Thank you guys very much for your support.
We really do appreciate it, yeah.
It literally is the only reason why we do videos is for you guys. And so, when people say, hey, we watch your videos and stuff, it means a lot.
Yep.
So yeah, I just like to talk and hear myself talk, so I do it for me too.
Yeah. All right. So we'll go in order. Actually, we'll start off with Joe, then we'll go to Jason, then we'll go to myself. So Joe, how did you get an SBG?
Well, I've actually talked about this in our Battle for Middle-earth video, but I actually got into SBG. I played a lot of Battle for Middle-earth with my friends. We lived in Colorado at the time. And my buddy one morning, we were in middle school, and we were on the football field. And my buddy's like, hey, there's this game called Warhammer. And he told me all about it. And I was like, yeah, it's cool. I don't really care, though. I mean, Then a few weeks later, he said, hey, man, you remember that Warhammer game I told you about? And I was like, yeah, it sounded pretty cool. He said, well, there's a Lord of the Rings version of it. And he was telling me about it. He had one of the little brochures that you get back when G-Dub made they used to put little brochures in the boxes, and you opened it and it had pictures of models you can order or whatever, something like that.
I have to look out those.
And he showed me it, and I was like, oh, that's actually really cool, because I've always been a huge Lord of the Rings nut, basically, since the Fellowship came out. When I first saw it, I was a kid. And I was like, well, can you play Rohan? Because in Battle for Middle-earth, I played Rohan. That was my game in that. And he's like, yeah. So pretty much instantly, I got into it. I got the first thing I bought was a box of 24 Warriors of Rohan. I bought a Théoden, I bought Aemir, and I bought Legolas. And those were the first models I bought. All of them were on foot too. So I started off with Foot Rohan and Foot Heroes of Rohan.
Yeah. Well, I think Jason's moving something around. We're gonna go ahead. I'll go ahead and answer the question because mine's kind of related to Joe's. So when Joe got into the game, I was like, yeah, there you go, nice.
That's exactly what it is.
I figured y'all didn't want to see my rear end as I ran over there and grabbed it from the corner. So
I think that was the one right there, the blue one.
That one the blue one you had is the one he had. Yep.
Yeah, these used to come in all the old Return of the King box sets.
Yeah.
And the 2 Tower box sets.
Yeah,
if anybody wants one of these, I've got spares.
I think he had one of the 2 Towers ones as well.
He did.
Well, so Joe got his, that was it. Joe got his Foot Rohan and started painting him, and it was, our original paint jobs were not very stellar. We went and bought paint from Walmart.
Yeah.
That you used to paint on canvas. And we bought the crappy paintbrushes where there's no fine tip. But anyway, before we did that, we went to the sand dunes as a camping trip. We were both in Boy Scouts, and so was this guy who got us into it, Garrett. And they're like, the whole weekend, they're like, hey, Dan, you should get some stuff. You play Gondor. I was like, nah, I'm not interested. You
Yep.
know, not interested.
I feel like a
And
used car salesman.
Joe went over there and into Garrett's house, and they played like a little game with, I think they had a proxy Warhammer orcs, and totally decimated Jacob and I think Gavin or something.
Yeah, we played because we were just getting into the hobby, like as a whole, just miniature gaming, and he had the some Warhammer miniatures that they had bought, and we had him proxy his Warhammer miniatures as Mordor orcs because they were orcs, and I was playing Rohan's stuff, and then Garrett was playing high elves, and that's the first game I ever had. But to your point,
yeah. Anyway, so they're like, yeah, we did this, and we could really have you in on these big games, and I was like, I'm not interested, guys, you know. And so finally, there was an event where the Boy Scouts would go to Coleman, the Coleman store, and they had this sale going on, and had like everything in the store marked down and like outside. And so our goal was to kind of guard it overnight. And so we had this huge tent set up, and we would guard it, even though if somebody came up with gunpoint, a bunch of 12-year-old kids would be like, I surrender, you know. But so all night they're like, Dan, you could play Gondor, man, and they were showing me that little brochure, and I was like, I'm not interested. And then I was like, well, I guess can you get Aragorn in it? And they're like, yeah, there's like 5 models of Aragorn. And I was like, okay, I'll do it. So I got my 24th pack of Gondor Minister of Warriors, and got got Aragorn on foot. I actually still have them all. It's I think the Pelennor Fields one where he's standing on a rock, holding up the sword. I got Gandalf the White, and I got Faramir wearing the Ranger outfit. That's it right there. That's the Aragorn. Right there in the middle.
None of the West box set.
Yep. And so I got that and start playing, and I was like, I don't have enough stuff because we didn't use point values.
Yeah.
We didn't use point values. So I went and I got the biggest collection right off the bat. I went and we sold our Xbox.
Yep.
Sold our Xbox to GameStop. Surprisingly, I had enough to buy like another 24 set of guys, and then like some Rangers. You
bought like a ton of stuff. You got Madrill and Damrod.
Yeah.
You got, I remember I got Ale because when we played guys, our buddy who was the smart one, he read us the rules, and we wouldn't really play by the rules that well. And we're like, well, who cares about point limits? Let's just get as much shit as we can on the table and just have on these big battles.
That's how I did it too.
And
so basically, who had the most money in the game was the one who would.
Yeah, it was, we had a pay to play system going on, and
a pay to win.
And I had my Roman Legion going on. I had the huge block, and then like a bunch of archers, and nobody could stand up to it. But that's how I got into the game. I would like to go over how we kind of got back into the game after Jason.
Yeah, so I actually have to give a shout out, and he'll probably never see this video, but to Logan Whitlock. He was the one who actually got me to the game. I was lucky enough to grow up sandwiched by my 2 best friends, Ryan on the right and Logan on the left. And Logan's father, Linus, was actually a dungeon master for D&D. So he would go to these game stores that, as a 10, 12-year-old kid, you don't really think about these things. Mostly those are the adults that know and find out about them. And now we know about it playing, places like your local game stores. Like, where do we go? The Game Cave or the Mighty Meeple?
Yeah, Mighty Meeple, yeah.
The one in DC that John McConnell does. I can't even think of it.
Huzzah Gaming.
Huzzah Gaming, yeah. That's honestly that's probably one of my favorite stores. But his father was big into the tabletop gaming and miniature gaming and stuff like that. And he was a chess master. He was everything. He used to teach the chess club when I was in middle school. So he started doing Warhammer just like you guys were talking about, and we kind of played and dabbled out with a little bit. But then after the Lord of the Rings movies came out and those models started showing up at the game store, I believe it was right after the Return of the King was released in theaters. Because at that point I was in 7th grade, and he came with the Warriors of Minas Tirith, just like you're talking about, Dan. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. I want some. So I would work and do all my chores, get my $2 a week allowance, and save that up for 2 months. Give my buddy $24 plus tax. His dad was nice and waived the tax, but give him the $25 back when you get a box of 24 miniatures for $25. So my first experience was actually with the Last Alliance. I got that nasty box set of short warriors in Numenor, along with the high elves with those 200 swords and bowmen. And so that's how we played, and we did exactly what you said. Just kind of like, there wasn't really any strategy or anything involved. It was like, okay, your group of guys, my group of guys, smash them together. You've got 12, I've got 12. Let's just roll 12 dice. Whoever gets the highest number of 6s wins. And we'll just roll that again, and okay, you got like 6 6s, so 6 of yours guy die. Rinse and repeat.
Yeah, that's pretty much how we did it.
What we did.
That's exactly how we did it.
That's pretty much it.
I mean, I will say, so he got me into it. So that was what I said, 7th grade, 2002, 2003. Yeah, 2003. Yeah, because 01 I was in 5th. So yeah, and well, the one sad thing, no offense, Logan, if you do actually see this, is he kind of bopped around from hobby to hobby real quick. Like him and I used to play. We played soccer together for like a year, and then he got bored with soccer and moved to doing wrestling. And then he got bored with wrestling and moved to chess, and him and I were in a chess club together for a year. And then he got bored with chess and he moved into doing swimming. So unfortunately, when I lost him, I lost my player. But at that point, I had met another friend down the road, Alex Gagne, shout out to him, and he and I played, and he was actually the first person I unleashed the Wrath of Rohan on, where I went and bought that big $75 box set that came out in like 2008.
Yeah,
it's called
16 mounts of riders.
It's called the Valor of Rohan.
Yeah, that's it. I couldn't remember if it was Valor or Valhyrit. Yeah, I don't remember. But yeah, I got that, and he was a big Elven player fan. See, at that point, we still didn't really know the game. We knew it a little bit better, knew it enough to go, yeah, I charge, I get 2 attacks, and you get knocked prone, so I get 4. But we didn't do anything with heroes. It was just, we knew enough about the points limits to play evenly at that point. We weren't just being whoever paid to play won, unlike Dan apparently. But we never used heroes, and we didn't really understand like fight value or anything like that. But he figured out how to use Elven throwing daggers, and those sons of the guns would wreck my defense for ponies.
Yeah, that's back when Rohan was kind of crappy.
Yeah, I can say I won my fair share with them getting charges, but I also lost.
Yeah, that's how I was when we first started developing into actually playing the game.
Yeah.
I still played Rohan. My buddy Jake.
Yeah, let's go into that segment.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and go into that segment. So let me give you guys like an overview, and I'll let Joe take over. So 2009, we played the game for about 3 years.
We played the game.
Yeah, we played the game, and we'd have these huge group of guys come over, and we had this huge basement. And we had a ping pong table, so we'd fold it out and have like these huge, however long the ping pong table was by 6.
It was like 8x6 or something, something crazy.
So we said, okay. I would look at my Gondor stuff. I was like, it doesn't look really good painted. We don't really know what we're doing here. And so one day we had a Lord of the Rings night. It was a night, and another guy came over, and Jacob, who played with us, came over, and they were like, hey, let me show you this game 40K. And so they started playing 40K, and I was like, hey, these rules are pretty cool. You get guns and stuff, so that's cool. So we kind of all switched over to 40K, and we had this huge game nights in that kind of a tournament bracket. We had like a champion, and we actually played by the rules and figured out like, hey, this is like an actual thing. You played by the rules, and we had like a system.
Mm-hmm.
And so one year, I think it was
2011.
It was either 2010 or 2011.
It was November 2011, if I think what you're talking about.
Yep. Mayhem in the Mountains was going on, and apparently two of the guys that we gave 40K with went to the game store. What was it called?
Collector Mania.
Collector Mania, and Mayhem in the Mountains was going on.
A local game store.
Yep. And if you guys don't know, Mayhem in the Mountains is a huge deal. I think they actually still have it at Collector Mania every year, or they did.
Yeah.
I just think it's awesome that it's still going on 10 years later. So
Yeah.
that's a huge shout out to the leadership of that community right there.
This Mayhem in the Mountains though was the biggest one. I think his name was Keith. He put it together, and they had like 50 players or something crazy back in 2012. I mean,
And so, I forgot one thing. So they were playing at Collector Mania, and they were using the strategy battle game rules. Because when we kind of switched over to War of the Ring rules,
yeah.
and it was a broken system. And we actually played by the rules. We played by the rules there with the War of the Ring because our buddy's like, oh, I want to get these miniatures too, and he got the thing. We're like, okay, this is how you play. He's like, I don't think this is right. So we're like, okay, here's the rule book. You read it. He's a really book smart guy. His name is Jake Coonrod. He read it. He explained everything to us, and we played War of the Ring for like a year. And I was like, this is not very fun. Gimli can kill all my stuff in one turn of combats. So we put it down, and we went into 40K, and then these two guys were at Collector Mania when they were having Mayhem in the Mountains, and those guys kind of coaxed them into coming back in the strategy battle game.
Well, we were there too.
Well, we were there. Yeah, we were. No, we weren't.
We were there when Mayhem in the Mountains happened, because I remember all of us, our jaws dropped.
Yeah.
We saw it.
Well, I was surprised that we saw strategy battle game going on, and so the two guys we want to get back into strategy battle game and use the strategy battle game rules because we never really played fully into the rules. And I was actually kind of dead set against it. I was like, guys, we have this really cool 40K system going on with the tournament bracket, and I was the champion at the time. I was like,
yeah, but you didn't want to leave.
I was like, guys, I'm going to lose all my competition. And then here comes Joe. Yeah, I think I'm going to get back into it too. Go ahead.
Yeah, so like Dan said, so I have kind of two phases of. I'll talk about the other one after, but basically what Dan says is right. We went to Collector Mania to play 40K, and I look over and there's this huge Lord of the Rings event going on, and this is like a Nova Open sized event, and I'm like, what? People do this? Because I love the ideas of tournaments and stuff. So I walk over and start looking at all the guys, and I started talking to a few of them, and I was like, whoa! After playing 40K and learning how to paint my models, and getting more proficient at learning rules and stuff, I was like, I kind of want to revisit Lord of the Rings, and repaint my Rohan stuff at the time to the best I can do. So I literally went home. Dan's like, what are you doing, man? We got a good thing going on. I was like, well, yeah, but I gotta do this. So I literally took all my Rohan stuff. I put them in a big bucket. I literally just poured all my models in a bucket. I took a huge thing of Simple Green, filled the bucket. I spent like 4 or 5 days chipping all the paint off and getting them back down to that lovely gray color, which I've ended up doing several times now. But repainted all my Rohan. Jake Coonrad, the guy that he read the rules, he started a Wood Elf army. So there were like several. He lived like next door to us, or like real close to it. So we would literally spend 3 or 4 nights playing in our basement, relearning the rules because I wanted to play,
Which I didn't do. I wasn't part of this.
No, but I went and we played so many games, and it's like Jason said, he was playing Wood Elves. He was massacring my Rohan guys. He was killing my horses with throwing daggers. He had, I Thranduil. This is before they changed it, where he just auto-natured Wrath. There was no resisting capability to it.
That old manual model. That model was pretty cool.
Yeah, he was pretty cool.
And he just absolutely massacred me. And then we got our buddy Jacob back into Lord of the Rings. He started Dwarves, and then he would come over, and then he would massacre my Rohan because he was Fight 4, Defense 7. He had Balin. I took Théoden at the time. He was my only hero in my army. So I ended up doing pretty good against them. I got to the point where I could do good. So then I actually went back to Collector Mania, and there were some guys there. Actually, they had a league, a Lord of the Rings league, and one of them was there. He was from New Zealand, and he was playing Isengard, and I was like, well, I want to verse you. Like, this is what I wanted. Like in 40K, I wanted to go to gaming stores and have pickup games. So we called them pickup games. So I wanted to have some pickup games in Lord of the Rings. So I versed him. He had Isengard with Vrasku. That was a new profile for me. He had Lurtz, and I think he had Sharku. We have 600 points. Sharku. He did?
Yeah.
So basically, his crossbows of Vrasku decimated my Rohan stuff.
So this is 2012-ish?
Yeah, 2012-ish.
So was this prior to Warbands coming out? Because I'm assuming you're
playing in
okay. This is right before that happened.
Yeah, this is right before all that happened.
Yeah, it used to be where, like I was saying earlier, it's just like your chunk of guys, my chunk of guys. We would never take heroes because heroes just seemed useless.
Yeah, and that's
you got Aragorn, who's great, but if you don't know how to play the game, he's worth like what 20 Moria Goblins. So my buddy playing Moria Goblins is like, why would I take Aragorn against 20 Moria Goblins?
So all this guys, by the way, was happening late to mid. I think around November 20. It was actually October 2011, and I got so I had a pickup game. Tony, he wrecked me. The only hero I had on my list was Théoden, and then I had another pickup game with a guy named Craig who was playing Harad, and he was playing a Serpent Horde army, literally nothing but Serpent Riders, Suladon, and he had the Betrayer. And I was like, well, I've never versed Magic. I've never versed Magic before, and I had Théoden. At this point, I had Théoden, Erkenbrand, and Aemir in my army, and he absolutely mopped the floor with me. I was like, well, this is stupid because Rohan is the Horse Lords, and his Haradrim Cav just beat me. Granted, he one turn killed Théoden and Erkenbrand with his ability to use magic. This is back when Transfix was fight 1 attack.
And I would like to point out that the Serpent Horde stuff was also new. So there was kind of a power creep there.
Yeah, there was. The Haradrim book came out relatively recently before this. It was the last book that came out before the Kingdoms of Men,
the Source
Fallen
books.
Realms. Yeah, before the Source books came out. So I was like, literally in my head after that game, I was like, well, Magic's kind of broken. But I'm playing Rohan. I refuse to not play nothing but pure Rohan. So that's basically my first. Yeah, that's basically my first introduction back in SVG is getting my butt kicked while playing thematic Rohan.
So another cool thing that those guys did with their league is they actually paid and had a forum set up, and so you could post on the forum and
they did
and forum, had like a bunch of guys. And so Joe lost to Tony, and later on he went on the forum and Tony was like, "Yeah, I took Theoden's head in a bag."
Yeah.
And it was kind of talking some crap about Rohan.
Yeah, I went on the forum and I saw that, and he's like, "Do I get league points for being this guy?" I literally dominated him. I was like, you know what? This is we started this kind of WWE smack talk.
Yeah, so this is actually when I got into it. So I was like, you know what? Screw this. Screw it, man. If these guys think they're the champs, because I was the champ in 40K, I'll get back into strategy battle game and I'll become the champ with Gondor. And so...
Make Gondor great again.
Yeah, so I got into the forum. I made an account and stuff. And they were like... I was like, why is Isengard so good? That was my thread I posted. And I was like, alright. And then I've said why they shouldn't be so good because they ran away from like Helm's Deep and stuff. I don't know. I just wanted to talk some crap. And
No.
so I kind of like became the bad
Well-
guy of the forum.
The Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
Yep, that's basically what it was.
And so I was like, you know what, I got to back up my talk. So I went to Collector Mania, and this was before the source book, so I only had Baragon and Aragorn. That's all I could fit into a 600-point list.
You put Knights of Dol Amroth in your army.
I did. I had some Knights of Dol Amroth as well, because I was like, they were a better cav unit than the Knights of Minas Tirith, and so I took Knights of Dol Amroth with my Gondor, and did really good. I versed Jonathan, who I think plays second at Mame in the Mountains.
Yep.
And Tony, by the way, plays first, so I wouldn't feel too bad, Joe. But,
No, he was a good player.
yeah, he was a really good player. So I versed Jonathan, and it was a really close game. I actually outshot him. I took Sidlogar with bow. Outshot him. He was playing Galadrim. And I lost. I mean, what happened is he had Glorfindel in his army. And so Glorfindel ran in against Aragorn. This is long before Strike. And put a whooping on Aragorn. I had to retreat Aragorn out of there. And the game ended. I think we were playing Lords of Battle. Or something close to that. It might have been called something different at the time. And it was pretty much the same premise. He wounded Aragorn. I did not wound his general, which was, I think... Oh, one cool thing that happened, though, is Ruindoll was a new profile. And Aragorn ran into Ruindoll. And I was like, okay. He's like, I rolled my dual rolls. I rolled 2 6s. He's like, yeah, reroll both those. So I was like, okay. Rerolled both. Rolled another natural 6. Aragorn would not be denied. Chopped off Ruindoll's head. And that got his attention. He's like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize Aragorn wounded anything on a 4+. That's when Glorfindel rolled into Aragorn with like some Galadrim guard and stuff, and actually maybe you had to retreat. But it was a really close game, and I was like, you know, I don't know what I did wrong. So we went back to the drawing board and making a list and stuff, and that's how I got back into strategy battle game, was that game.
So the good old-fashioned smack talk and wanting to prove yourself pretty much got Dan back in the game.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
Sounds like now.
ultimately, I mean, I'm a competitive person in terms of like, hey, I want to go out and I want to verse the best. In order to be the best, you have to beat the best. And so I was like, I want to go in and I want to verse. I want to verse these guys, and because they were all those guys were really good. They were like kind of like murderers row of competition there. And also you had Cruz, who has a very successful YouTube channel. But we'll go into that later. So that's how we got back into it. And then the source books came out, and I didn't like the idea of war bands, because then I was like, well, it's going to be really hard to foot Aragorn into this, because I was like, hey, can we raise the point limits up from 600 points? No, that's not, we don't do that, we just do 600 points. I was like, okay. So ultimately I got an army, and we went to Mame in the Mountains, 2012?
Yeah, it was the Mame in the Mountains primer, 2012.
Well, yeah, we did a primer, so we became the Castle Rock League, or group, and then we were affiliated with them, but we had our own group of guys who would game and stuff. And so there was like four open slots for Mame in the Mountains. And so what we did was, okay, well, we're going to take those 4 slots, but let's have a preliminary tournament to send our 4 best. So I actually placed first to that. I versed Jacob, who's playing Durin's Folk, and that was like probably the hardest game ever. It was a 3-hour game. There were no time limits. It was a 3-hour game. I ultimately outshot him somehow. He was playing dwarf with the short bows, the dwarf warriors with the dwarven bows.
Yep.
And he was he had Mirangerar and then the King's Champ. And so ultimately we got into a shooting war. I would move my army away from him because I didn't want to fight 4 guys. He would move forward, I'd move away, I'd shoot at him. every 3 turns I'd maybe kill a guy, and then I would go use Aragorn and kind of pick off guys that were kind of straggling behind, and I would send Aragorn in against one guy, heroic combat back to my line.
Yeah, Aragorn on horse, I'm assuming.
Yeah, at Elisar. I was using the
Yeah,
Elisar
yeah.
profile on a horse, on a mounted horse, and
Makes sense.
he killed guys with shooting, but then I was able to kill which one was the guy with the bow, Mirren or Gerard? I think it was Mirren, or it's Gerard.
yeah.
It's Gerard. Yeah,
Gerard is the guy though.
I killed Gerard with shooting, with string 2 bows, and slowly.
6. No, I think 7.
Yeah, I needed 6s. I think 6s by 4. No, I needed 6s. I
Yeah.
think he was defense 6.
I think he's defense 7.
So he ultimately, I did enough damage to him where he retreated in the corner. He was broken. I was unbroken. And, we were all very good friends, but we didn't really care, like, talking how we wanted to each other. So we weren't like, we were all friendly, but we were like, screw you, that kind of stuff. Except maybe,
I remember,
what I do now.
yeah.
I remember walking by and Jake used some very choice words about your tactic and about you.
Yeah.
We all grew up together.
We grew up together, so we had that relationship. And ultimately, what happened was he retreated back in the corner and said, "I'm not moving forward." And I was like, "Eventually, you're gonna fail your courage test with your King's Champ. That's the only guy left. He's gonna flee." He's like, "Okay, that's not gonna happen." The next courage test he takes, he fails and has to use his only point of will. And so then I was like, okay, well, I'm not moving forward. Eventually, you're going to have to take a courage test, you're going to fail again, and then you're just going to start fleeing. And then I'm going to come in on you, and then Aragorn's going to not be contested. Because this is back, like I said, this is back before Strike. The King's Champ fighting Aragorn, I could one turn kill the King's Champ, but then again, he could really hurt Aragorn. Yeah,
really
and
bad. Yeah,
and
King's Champ's nothing to laugh at.
And Jacob never separated the 2 heralds, so he was always defense 9.
Well, Aragorn don't care though. He's
Yeah,
still winning on
yeah.
course.
Aragorn didn't kill, but I was like, I don't want to deal with that.
No, you don't want to risk it.
Yeah, I don't want to risk it. So ultimately, the game ended. I was declared the winner, and so I was number 1. Jake Coonrod was number 2 or 3. Jake Coonrod had to leave early, but he won enough games where he was guaranteed a spot. Joe might have been 3rd with Ron.
No, I was automatically going because I was.
Oh, yeah, that's right. So we had 3 slots that we needed to fill, and then Jacob was the second. So that's how we all.
Did you guys do like a round robin where you guys played all of each other one time, and then whoever had the best, kind of like what we did a few years ago when we were practicing for Nova?
Well, we actually had like a tournament bracket drawn up, and so we had our matchups, and then whoever won would advance to the next bracket, and then ultimately there'd be a champion.
Losers bracket and all.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
There were like 8 of us that showed up to that from our little group of friends.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yes, but so we went to that's actually the first tournament I ever went to, was that Name the Mountains that I'm sure is about to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, we practiced. We did practice a lot, and that's one thing to do if you want to get better is to practice and just get your hands on some dice. And so we.
Other than my dice.
Yeah. So we went to Name of the Mountains. I remember the morning was really cool. It's kind of surreal. We were living in this kind of little apartment at the time. There was like 5 guys in there.
Yep.
Jake Coonrod didn't have his army fully painted, so he was up all night painting. And we thought that Jake would probably take first place because he still is a really good. I don't know if he still is, but I don't think he plays anymore. But he was the best player out of everybody. I was actually kind of avoiding versing him because I didn't want to get smacked down.
Yeah, he's the guy. He's the guy, guys, that I versed all those nights when he was playing Wood Elves and he was dropping my Rohan left and right.
And the build-up was really suspenseful. I mean, me and Jake, we were walking one night, and he's like, "Yeah, I was reading on some forums. This is back before YouTube was a big deal, I guess." Mm-hmm. He was like, "I was reading some forums. This is the kind of Wood Elf army that you would see at a tournament." And he's like, "I'm gonna take Thranduil, I'm gonna take Legolas, and I think he took like a Stormcaller. He was like one of the first ones to take a Stormcaller.
His army, like, so like the way that the way I think about then, so like his tournament list and the way he played was very similar to how one of the Great British League, like if you look at some of like their Wood Elf hordes, basically the way he did it was how they did it, and this is before we knew anything about that. So,
well, even just listening to it compared to now, if you were to try and take Wood Elves, which Mark would, that's actually a pretty good build with Thranduil and Legolas. I mean, anybody doing a Thranduil's Halls army would usually, you have to auto take Thranduil.
Yeah.
And then Legolas is usually a good shoo-in for your second hero. So it's pretty cool to see that the game has evolved so much since 2012, but those two good heroes are still in there. And the Stormcaller's nothing to laugh at either.
the whole thing about him is his mentality and the way he approached the game was like, it was aeons above us. Because like I said, I was dead set to take Théoden because I really wanted that thematic army, and I thought I could make it work. I thought I could make a Théoden army win a tournament. Which I didn't.
Théoden great again.
Well, I didn't win that event. That was my all-foot Rohan list that I took that event. I was like, well, I'm going to go for numbers. I can get 16 bow shots in a list. So I took Horde of Foot Rohan, lost all 3 games, and I lost to Tony again. And this is supposed to be my big rematch against him, where I was going to get Théoden's head back, as he put it.
And he got a second one to add to his belt.
He did, and he did not let me forget about it.
Well, I versed Tony round 1, guys, and I was like, this is it. This is like, I've talked all this crap on this forum. I get to verse Isengard now against a guy who placed first at the last tournament. And it was a really close game. We were playing Domination or something close to whatever it was called at the time.
It was Domination.
It was Domination, because I think that was included in the source book, right? All the scenarios were in the source books.
I don't remember.
I still have my source books, but I'm kind of too lazy to get them. I think they were but we played Domination.
The little blue ones?
Yeah.
I don't think they were in there, actually.
They might have been in the big rules book. I think they were in the big rules book. But we played, and I was winning. I was winning the game. Last turn of the game, I had Baragon holding objective, and he fled off the objective. But I forgot that Baragon has bodyguard.
Yep.
So if I did not forget that, I would have won the game.
So that's why, guys, you need to remember your rules.
And we still forget it even to this day.
Yep.
I ended up taking, I think, 3rd place, and Jake Coonrod placed 1st. Rob Cruz hosted the event, and everybody went to his house, and he was also playing Gondor, and he versed Jake and beat Jake, but barely beat Jake. And Jake actually completed a secondary objective that was played at that tournament, where he got like more VPs or TPs from the game.
Yep.
So even though Rob won, he barely won. Even though he barely won, Jake still walked away with more TPs in the game. And another thing about rules is, that might not have happened, but Rob was like pretty sure that you couldn't use will to modify your courage rolls. And everybody was like, dude, no, you can. You can use your will to boost up your courage rolls. He's like, no, I don't think you can. And so Boromir fled. He was taking Boromir. He fled out of the game, and that caused Jake to like score some big VPs.
Yep.
Also, Jacob did really good. He versed another Durnsfolk player and won.
Him and Jake technically tied for 1st.
Yeah, Jacob versus Jake round 1, and he won only because Jacob versus Jake round 1, and won only because they were playing. I think they were playing Domination. No, it was Domination because I had versed Tony.
Oh yeah, Domination. Yeah.
But you get VPs for wounding the leader, and I don't think Jake realized that, because Jacob rolled an archer shot and wounded Thranduil, and he's like, you use your fate, and Jake's like, I'll take the wound. So it cost him a points, and that's why, because I always wanted to see that game. Honestly, being played, I wanted to be there and spectate it because Jacob's doors were a havoc. They would wreak havoc, and then Jake's Wood Elves, he was so meticulous with them.
Yeah, it was like the battle of the champs in our group, really. Honestly.
Well, come on. I versed Jake, and then second round I versed Jake, and I lost. We were playing. Was it the? It was like we were using Maelstrom rules. I forgot the scenario.
It was hold ground.
Hold ground. Yeah, it was hold ground, and I rolled crap on all my reserve rolls, and he kind of picked Faramir's warband and golf all the way over here. Then my 2 warbands deployed where I wanted them, but then he was able to outnumber my 2 warbands. By the time Faramir came in, he just, I think, called wins Faramir off out of play the whole game. Faramir actually was a big playmaker for me in that tournament. I took Faramir, Boromir, Baragon. Those are my 3 heroes.
Bash Bros.
I didn't take Boromir on a horse because I was like, what's the use?
You didn't take Faramir on a horse either.
I didn't take Faramir on a horse either. and so then when I showed up and Rob Cruz was like, "Oh, your Boromir's not mounted?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Well, Boromir's better if he's mounted." I was like, "That's debatable." Even though it's really not. It was just the way I was thinking then. And that's,
hey, I mean, you're new to the game still. That's kind of how my thought process was when I first, got back into the game. Was why spend the points on a horse when I could put an extra model on the field?
Yeah.
And we learned,
especially in like a 600-point game where really you start.
Numbers do count. Yeah.
If you could start getting like 33 models, to me that was good.
Yeah.
Especially.
And that was pretty much our return back to SPG. I mean, Joe, is there anything else you want to add to it?
No, I mean, basically that we're talking about like a 4-month period where we were anticipating going to this tournament. We were playing a lot of games. I was repainting my Rohan as we went.
Yeah, I kind of Gondor.
I re-fell in love with the game, and that's basically it.
Never really went back.
And never went back to any of the other systems.
So from 2011 to 20 now, 2020.
But I was gonna say,
the last decade.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say we started our channel in 2012 when we moved out.
Hold on 1 second.
Okay,
that's the next one of the next questions. Jason, you kind of had to return back to SPG. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I think it's funny you talk about painted models and stuff. So when I first played, this is what. This is
I'm changing something.
You're good. I thought it was me. This is what my painted models looked like. This is how I played. Not even gonna lie, because my thought process at that time was like, these models are so amazing looking. I mean, look at the detail. I mean, look, you can see the detail in the flags and everything. Even though this is a newer model, obviously, the model still had good detail even back then in 2003 to 2008. And I didn't want to paint them because I knew I couldn't, so I didn't. I just played with them gray. And it's actually a shame because I was a bit of a jerk to one of my friends, Alex Gagne, who I mentioned earlier. He painted his, and I was like, "Oh man, those things look terrible. They don't look good at all. What is wrong with you? You should have just left them base gray." And he actually took his time to work on stripping them down, like Joe mentioned, and repainting them. And he did get good. So, Alex, this is like, I don't know, what's now 2021. That was 2007. 14 years later. Just 14 years late, but good job on your paint scheme, dude. If you ever see this. But yeah, played with Alex after my friend Logan I talked about. Him and I played for a couple of years from like 03 to 05, and then from 05 to 08 it was with Alex Gagne. My brother dabbled in it a little bit, but he was, little butterfly all over the place. Never really picked up a hobby, so I didn't have anyone to play with from 2008 to 2017, and I actually put the models down and didn't touch them from 2008 to 2014. And I remember what put me back in it is I walked out of the Battle of Five Armies movie, on the day it premiered, and I'm driving back. At that time, I was in the military and I was living in the barracks. And excuse me, driving back to the barracks, I was like, that's a great movie. Really love Tolkien. Really love Peter Jackson's work. I love all that stuff. I remember this game from some place called Games Workshop. Little miniatures. Does that still exist? And obviously it did, because you guys were talking about your foray back into it in 2011, and this was 2014. So we went home, did the Google search, found it, found the models, saw that they had expanded, obviously, and at that point it had become the Hobbit strategy battle game, because when the Hobbit came out in 2012, they came out with that new strategy battle guide rulebook that we all know and love. This one.
Yep.
So I went and found a local Games Workshop store I was stationed in Norfolk, but they had one in Virginia Beach. And I went and picked up this copy. And then for like the next 2 weeks, I was just reading through it and learning about it. And I was going online and buying the source books and, buying models, all that kind of stuff, just getting back into it. And unfortunately, the scene in the Virginia Beach, Norfolk area was dead as far as The Hobbit was concerned. So all I did for 3 years, from the end of 2014 to the middle of 2017, was just collect models, assemble them, paint them, and put them back in their case, which is pretty sad because those models want to be used.
Yeah.
But when I got out of the military, I was working on transitioning back to home, back to the Charlotte area. And I had found you guys had the webpage at that point, and I think Ryan Hall was the one who started the Carolinas Middle Earth League Facebook page. And so that's when I started, reaching out and just started getting into the community and being like, hey, there's people who play this game. Let's go learn. So it was actually funny. Outside of, I think Ringo South was the first time. No, I think Dan, you and I might have had a pickup game. No, it was Ringo South.
It was Ringo South, yeah.
Yeah, it was the first time I'd actually put dice on the table since 2008. So you're talking about a 9-year hiatus between actually playing the game and playing the game. I don't know where I was going with that. But yeah, that was nowhere near as interesting or as cool as y'all's. But
well, it is. I mean, ultimately you were able to get back into the hobby.
Yeah, that's the greatest thing.
And shout out to Ryan Hall. He was the manager for the Games Workshop in Charlotte. He did God's work for Strategy Battle Game.
Yeah.
He got a lot of players together, and we had a huge league at one point. Yeah.
We still have a good sized league. Don't sell yourself.
Well, that's true. We do. We do have a big league, a good sized league, and we have really good tournaments, and have big numbers at all the tournaments.
Yeah.
So I think we pretty much well covered how did you get into SBG. Of course, I could talk about it for probably another hour because there's so many twists and turns. Some of that will be, for another question that I will ask. But my next question is, who was your guys' first army? I think we pretty much covered that. I just want to do a quick clarification. My first army was Gondor. Joe?
Rohan. Big time.
Jason?
Going all the way back to 2003, Last Alliance.
Which you haven't really played. You played them a little bit.
Yeah, I honestly haven't played any Numenor or Rivendell. It's just funny because I have both the Rivendell and a Wood Elf army for Galadrim, but I've never really taken either out. And that's actually what I'm working on now, is painting up, warriors in Numenor. And that's going to be my next army to take out. Maybe just, practice with, play with a little bit. And my crappy paint job. So this is much better than the basic gray that I was talking about earlier.
It is.
But yeah, I'm working on those. I got a shout out to Marcus Hammond and Michael Hens. You know, the two of them played it at the Great Battles of Carolina, and Michael and I specifically had a good amount of conversation building up to it, talking tactics and how to build a 1,000-point list for uh, Numenor. And I've had these models sitting around for ever and a day. I'm literally still painting. These are still the first models I ever got. Is these crappy warriors in Numenor, and that's why they're so bad looking for like the bases and stuff. You can see through there that they barely even fit.
Yeah.
Some of them aren't even on the sprue. This one's a nightmare.
Yeah, I had a couple of those too. I actually glued all my guys in with Gorilla Glue like an idiot.
Yeah, I mean, but for 15-year-old, I mean, I've had these models since 2003.
Yeah.
Not even 15, they're 18-year-old models, 17-year-old models. I can't do that.
I went through and I did strip some of my original Gondor stuff and repainted it, and you've seen it on the channel a couple of times. I went back, I was like, when you strip them all, you do lose, it does seem like you lose some detail on them all.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you can't.
Yeah, I mean, it melts it a little bit.
Yeah, so I went and that's, you guys could look at it on the video. I went and kind of did just an evolution of my Gondor painting and worked on my painting with the current Gondor scheme I have going on now. And that's kind of my evolution. I mean, I showed some of my guys I had painted back in 2011. I even had stripped them then, and those guys look better than the crap ones I painted in 2007.
Yeah.
And so
No, 2006.
Yeah, 2006. 2006. Then I stripped him, repainted him, and then I didn't want to strip him again. I think I did strip him again. I did strip him again. You've seen it on the channel a couple times, but then I went back and just bought a couple 24 sets of Minster with Wars and repainted them.
I think it's funny to talk about that because when I was getting back into it, end of 2014, beginning of 2015, my first paint jobs were horrendous because I went home and actually found all those the one that Joe talked about, the Valor of Rohan box set, and I started painting those. And I mean, I was using like these teeny little like Q-tip things to do like eyes, fine details. I think I still have a few of them in my paint box, as crazy as that sounds. But those models were so disgusting when they turned out. And I mean, I'm still using to this day, but I use Testor's paints, and I have started moving into GW paints because they are better being the water-based over the oil. But I still use a good amount of Testor's paints today. But those things, and I didn't have fine tooth brushes like you were talking about. Your first brushes were just those ones like you used on canvas.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Sorry, guys.
I
just realized, and it's because I was actually looking into the thing. My mic's been off for the last 5 minutes.
No, it's cool. You answered the only question that you were asked of.
Yeah, because I had to use another webcam, so I'm trying to like move it to where my head's not the only thing in frame, but I don't think when it gets there.
That's fine. I mean, it doesn't matter.
Right.
But the I kind of
heard you, so you're good.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that paintbrush. The paintbrush I ended up using, I think, came in a watercolor set that you'd give to like your kid.
Yep.
And I used that paintbrush.
It's a Crayola. It's a Crayola.
Yeah,
brand,
it was a Crayola brand paintbrush. I used that.
It's like one of these big behemoths that you're trying to do.
Yeah.
I mean, this is great for doing terrain. Like when you're trying to paint like a house and just get big broad strokes, is great. But when you're trying to like, okay, let's use this big brush on this little model.
Yeah, and
it's everywhere.
Let me put it this way: I couldn't even color in the lines. Okay, with my models, I couldn't even color in the lines with that.
Color in the lines on a color in the line book.
Okay, so here's my next question. Who do you guys like playing now, and why? I'll go ahead and go first. It's kind of a toss-up right now. I do enjoy the Lake Town. I feel like Lake Town is... I think that they are more competitive than Gondor. Kind of. I do enjoy...
Debatable.
Huh?
It says debatable.
That is debatable. I do enjoy...
I definitely think they can be.
I do enjoy the different synergies you have with Lake Town, but I'm just going to have to go back to Gondor. I mean, I've played him for so long. I have a certain mindset with him now. I've been to many tournaments with him, and I kind of know what each piece can do and what they can't do. And so that's who I'm gonna pick. I'm gonna pick my Gondor army, Aragorn. I run Aragorn, Ingold, and whoever else I can get in there, Huron or Gandalf, whichever one.
So I've actually played a lot of armies. When we, that's actually one thing I want to talk about. But after we went to the first no open, I decided, I was like, well, I'm gonna try and play several armies now, a lot of different armies to just try and see who I can be the best with. Yeah, and ultimately, after playtesting, I playtested the Shire, I playtested the fiefdoms, I playtested several evil armies I had, and I ultimately went back to Rohan. And I've honestly been playing Rohan. I took Rohan to 3 tournaments before the new rules came out. Did really good with him. Eric and Brand giving the guys fight for. And, just a lot changed with him since when I first started him. I have 3 armies I really enjoy, but Rohan's still my favorite army. I just enjoy Rohan. The fast movement, they could do everything. And you guys can go look at our 2-hour-long Rohan army review and pretty much. But I really enjoy the Shire. I fell in love with the Shire. That's one of the test armies I bought, and I really fell in love playing them. They're just different, unique. Unfortunately, they hit a bit of a brick wall in terms of their ability in this edition, but I've still taken them out. And then I really like Mirkwood. I played Thranduil's Halls. I had a Mirkwood army before the movies came out. And then when the movies came out, I wanted to have the updated Mirkwood army, so I played a lot of Mirkwood. I loved Thranduil from the movies, but I fell in love with the idea of having Iron Hills and Thranduil's Halls. So that's probably my second favorite army. So Rohan's my first, the Thranduil's Halls is second, and then the Shire is third.
Nice. Yeah, I kind of like Joe. I've played with a lot. Most folks, if you go to an event, I like to think I play a good variety because it's like you said, Joe. Yeah, you like to branch out. So I have played, I would say, armies. I have played more than 5 games between events or just get-together games. High Elves, Easterlings Con, Fiefdoms, Gondor, Rohan, Iron Hills, Azog's Legion / Azog's Hunters, Arnor. What else? I think that's about it. I'm close to that with Corsairs. I've almost reached that 5 game. I've gotten like 4 in, but I won't include them yet. So I like to play with different armies. It's just fun. The more you play with them, it's like that old saying, jack of all trades, but a master of none. So I've got experience playing with armies that are magic heavy. I've got experience playing with armies that are low defense, experience playing with armies that are high defense. But I would still say that if I had to just pick an army to go out there and take, I still think I'd turn to Fiefdoms. And they just work well together. As a former military person, someone who, my secondary job in the Navy is a ship is a floating city. You've got cooks, you've got your city mayor or whatever, which is your captain. Then you've also got your police department, which is your master at arms, and you've got the most important part of all, which is your fire department. And I was a firefighter, so being a firefighter in the Navy, you have to work together. You've got to know the job of the man above you, the man below you. So you have to be a good, well-oiled, timed machine in order to basically keep the ship from going down. Ships are built and designed to flood. They're not going to flood. It's very hard to sink a modern day ship. The one thing that will sink any ship, though, is fire. So it's just a little off-topic shout-out. But the whole point of that is the fact that you have to be a team. You have to work as a team. And I feel like Fiefdoms, especially if you go back and listen to the Army review I did, Fiefdoms really does that. They've all got their little thing that every single hero does to make the troops around them better. And they just work as a very well synchronized team. So Fiefdoms, to me, not only with the color scheme, because the blue and silver is one of my favorite. Navy colors blue and gold, so blue and silver is one of my cool favorite color schemes. But I just like the way they work together. If you can get a high enough points value, you can really get some work done, right, Joe? 1,000 points of Fiefdoms.
It's all the Klansmen.
Yeah, but I would say Fiefdoms is definitely number 1. if I'm doing a top 3 like you did, Joe, 2 would probably be Rohan. And then 3, believe it or not, would probably be Iron Hills, just because I play with the Chariot, and the Chariot is uber freaking fun.
You played quite a few games with Iron Hills.
Yeah.
And Dunland's in there too. You played a lot of games with Dunland. You just haven't taken them out yet.
That's true. I haven't, because I've done several games with you, plus our narrative scenarios. You should check those videos out too. But yeah, I forgot about Dunland. Dunland's a fun one as well. What about you, Dan? What's your 2 and 3? You said Lake Town and
Gondor.
Gondor. Do you have a number 3?
Yeah, Gondor's 1. Lake Town's 2. If I had to pick a third one, because I've dabbled a lot with the Ruindoll Riders, I've dabbled with some with Goblin Town. Durance Folk was something I dabbled in.
I forgot about Durance Folk too. I played them. My bad.
Durance Folk, I dabbled in them. I dabbled a little bit in the Mordor, a little bit. I dabbled in with
Lothlorien was a big one. Lothlorien was a big
one.
Yeah,
Lothlorien. I actually took that to Nova.
Out of all those, used to do Mirkwood as well. I remember playing against your Mirkwood Rangers.
Yeah. So I would say my third army would have to be the Ruindoll Knights. I like to take all mounted Ruindoll Knights. I haven't played that in recent years, but we do have a couple battle reports with that army being featured. So
you did play a battle report like a year or 2 ago with it.
Yeah, me and Sam.
Yeah.
And here's the thing about that army is they only got better with the insight points that Elrond can have, because then you can kind of dictate if you want the party or not. Yeah. But it's not necessarily the funnest army to play, because you're kind of sitting back shooting, moving around. It's kind of methodical. So Joe might like it.
Very methodical army.
I actually played it.
Go ahead.
I played a few test games with him against Derek and Powers, and I did really good with it. In fact, I did better with that army than I did with Rohan at the time. The only reason why I didn't take that to an event, because basically it plays Ruindoll Knights, and actually we didn't talk about this in our Rohan review, but Ruindoll Knights do everything that Rohan does, but better.
They're just a lot more expensive.
They're just a lot more. You're gonna have a lot less models, and probably you're gonna have, of course, you're gonna have a lot less heroes. But
yeah,
I did play tests quite a bit. I did really well with the list. Unfortunately, it wasn't the list that I took and used, like in practice games, wasn't my list. It was I took James Clark's list, basically, and I played with it. But I played it like how I would play my Rohan, in terms of sitting back, shooting. When I get in charge range, you go in and you do your thing. And it's a fun army.
But the reason I wouldn't say it's number 1 for me, or even number 2, is because I'm a guy who likes to go in and brawl.
Yeah.
Sword lines meet. I want to try to punch a hole through your wall with my big heroes. You can't really do that with you can, but it takes a little bit more finesse and strategy behind it.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot more build up and positioning, maneuvering for Ruindoll Knights than just, all right,
yeah,
go at it.
And poor Sam. Every time I've ever reversed him with the Ruindoll Knights, I could tell the look on his face. He's like, "Are you really doing this right now?" Because he knows I'm gonna sit there and shoot at him. Yeah, I'm gonna sit there and shoot you until I kill enough guys to where I feel comfortable charging you, and you break up enough. Your line breaks up enough. And I versed Sam doing that, and I versed, I think, somebody else, and it was just like, I don't want. First, I don't want to put anybody through this. And I just didn't enjoy it enough to say, okay, I'm gonna take this to a tournament, which I actually did. I did take it to a tournament, actually.
Yeah, you did.
The first
Fellowship of the Carolinas.
First Fellowship of the Carolinas. I think I placed 4th. I lost 1 game, and I versed the Flying Circus Army with that army and actually won. It was 2 ring race and like Sauron. Yeah. Lindier came up with them clutch plays with the magic resistance. So it was a fun army, but yeah, Gondor's definitely number 1, then Lake Town's 2, and then 3 is the Ruindoll Knights probably. So here's the next question I have. I have just a few more. We're on number 4 now. I got the 7 total, so 3 more. Why did we start the YouTube? Why did we start the YouTube channel? When and why? Pretty much is why we started the YouTube channel. I'm gonna let Joe elaborate on this a lot, But I think one of the reasons why I really got on board with it is because when we started the channel, we started back in 2012. It was before the Hobbit. It might have been right after the Hobbit book came out. It was either.
Yeah, it was right after.
It might have been right
That would have
before
been
or
13.
right after. Okay, so 2013 then.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2013.
And the there was not a whole lot of YouTube channels at the time for SBG,
No.
and we didn't even.
GBHL, I think, was about it.
Yeah, we really didn't even. We knew about them, and we watched a couple of their videos and stuff. And I was like, we could start a YouTube channel for SBG and really focus on like good battle reports.
So this says November 12th of 2012 was the birth date for the YouTube channel.
So there you go. That's when we started, and
Pretty good.
we let's see. Oh yeah, one of our biggest sources of inspiration though was Rob Cruz's YouTube channel, which I think is LTR SBG Battles.
Yeah, that's the name of his channel.
And he grew fast. I think he has like 3,000 subscribers, and he hasn't been active since 2015.
That's funny you should say that. I am looking at it right now. He's only down to 13. He's down to 13 subscribers.
Really?
Yeah, you can go under the page. I'm on the LTR SBG team website on YouTube right now, just kind of meandering around while you're talking about the history of it. And under discussions, it says Hobbit / LTR SBG team battles from 6 years ago.
That's a different channel.
No, that's a.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, that's actually I think a British version, and it was I think a kid who actually started that, and he actually started one like our channel is called LTR SBGT LTR / Hobbit team SBG team.
Okay.
But we so we knew Rob, and we're like, if Rob can do this, and he has a huge collection, and he had like a world campaign he was working on. He literally opened up a special account with Games Workshop for like that retailers would use, and he bought mass amounts of models, and he had shelves full of every army in the game. And his logic was, you don't even need to buy anything. I have it all here. You just come and play this scenario, this narrative campaign.
That's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, and so it was like a narrative campaign. It was a grand campaign, and they had like a map of Middle Earth, and you would go try to take different territories, and you had resources and stuff. It was kind of like playing a campaign in like Total War, if you guys have ever done that.
Yeah, very similar.
And so that's. I think he had that on his YouTube channel, and he had some other things on it. He was a very good painter and stuff, and so he was kind of inspiration to Joe and I because we knew him. So we started the LTR SBG team, and we wanted to focus on battle reps because Rob didn't have a lot of battle reports in his channel. I mean, he had a few, but he didn't have a lot. And so we didn't even have a camera at the time. We had like our iPhone. So we would take the video on our iPhone, and it was we actually took down a lot of the original battle reports just because of the quality,
Yeah, that's understandable.
And so moving forward, we have said, well, we just want to have a quality channel where you can go and watch quality videos on SBG. You can go watch quality battle reports. You can get some deeper insight through our tournament experiences or just playing general experiences, and really just try to help the community out and build a stronger community.
Yeah.
Joe, do you have anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, basically, we started, like, I know there was like a period, so like, we started the channel with the idea of doing really good battle reports, like you said, and we kind of shifted to having more of just a overall SBG channel, and we've even kind of shifted it a little bit more just to have it, because we have like the video games of Middle Earth, but we wanted to make the community stronger because especially at the time in North America or in the US, there wasn't a SBG community. Like I know Great Britain had the Great British League, and I think Canada had their league before us. So really, my goal with the channel was to try and get people, U.S. players, around it and try and emulate what they do, but with just U.S. And it wasn't our channel that did it, but it did happen. So it blew up overnight.
Yeah, and you know we so now our focus is to just make good Lord of the Rings content, mostly strategy. I would say majority strategy battle game.
Yeah,
We do have the video games
Yeah.
on there occasionally.
I think the video games are a good way to grow. Like you were saying originally, you just started with battle reports, and I won't lie, I've watched some of those original battle reports, and they are. I mean, doing 2012 iPhone technology, what do you expect? It's going to be grainy.
Yeah.
I mean, you can see my camera's grainy right now, the built-in. That's probably better than what a 2012 iPhone was. But you start and you just grow. I mean, I think the fact that you guys have, in the last few years, just grown with how you do your bat reps too. I mean, look at how we do them now, where we include the dice rolls and the shots and moving through the combats and the important stuff. Yeah, it makes them a little bit longer, but that was the biggest complaint, was a lot of people wanted to see that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, absolutely. And
I mean, when I was getting back into the game, that was what I was watching, was GBHL with James Clark specifically.
Yeah.
So, moving, I think, no offense to, us in general, but his was at the time the gold standard, so to speak, for battle reports, and a lot of people like that. So
yeah, he had a separate channel called
Hot
Games Gaming.
Yeah, and that, his battle reports, and I think he just has an all around personality for it. He's just all around good. But
he's a very outgoing person and a very nice person. I mean, I've never met him, but I'd love to one day be able to.
But like for me, because there was a period, like a year after the Battle of Five Armies came out, basically 2015 and then 2016, we actually didn't put up a single video on our channel. And basically what revitalized me, the idea of the channel, was going to the first Nova Open. That after going to that first Nova Open we went to, it was the second one they did, but it was the first one we went to. Really kind of, because I don't know if anyone's, there are probably a lot of new players watching this, people who have been in the hobby, but if anyone's unfamiliar with this, there was a theory that the game was going to die. There were no releases, models were getting dropped from the web store left and right, and a lot of people thought that they were just going to let it go. Mm-hmm. So basically my thing is, well, if that does happen, I'm going to go down with the ship. But the kind of that kind of year period where all that was going on kind of was like well, what's the point if it's just gonna die? But then when they announced Taba, they announced like the Middle Earth team and how they were gonna redo the game and all that, and then going to that first Nova really kind of bolstered my resolve, I guess, to keep doing the channel.
Yeah, was that 2016?
It was like 2015 when people started talking about the game dying, basically.
Because I remember when I was just getting back into the community, or when I just joined the community in the middle of 2017, and I mean, I went to Ringo South. I guess it was technically the second one, but you've redubbed it since then, Ringo South, the first one for 2017. And a lot of folks were like, yeah, it was close to dying out a while ago. And then there was a thought for like a year after that, in 2018, that it could die again. But the 2018, Nova, that's the one I went to. It was, what's his name?
Adam
Trope, yeah. And then when they released that, we've been hearing those rumors and stuff for about a year. And then when they released all that stuff, that really revitalized the game.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, I think after There and Back Again came out, that everyone thought it was kosher. Because it became a specialist game. Because before, I think it was its own entity. So like, there's 40K, there was Warhammer, then there was Lord of the Rings. Then I think they put Lord of the Rings into the specialty games.
Yeah.
And after they hired the rules writer, and after There and Back Again came out, everything was fine in terms, because I think There and Back Again sold pretty well, and like the Iron Hill stuff sold out, I think, on Forge World for a
yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. They had the Taba in there. I was thinking the Battle of Five Armies, little tiny book, but Taba came out
2016. Came out 2016. No, when the Battle of Five Armies book came out and the Battle of Five Armies stuff, and then like that, and then like the year after, like 2015, I think that's when that whole thing was going on.
Yeah. Well,
But we're not there now. We're in a good
no,
spot.
and I would like to add one thing to like our YouTube channel is we do try to grow in terms of our quality. So I don't know. Yeah, there you go. There it is.
Yeah, that's
the small little Battle of Five Armies book.
That's one thing I was actually going to say is the way we do battle reports now, it actually is a pretty big process in terms of filming the footage for the game, filming the dice rolls, and editing it. We have a bunch of filming equipment we bought. So honestly, filming a battle report and putting it up is about, I mean, honestly, it's about 5 or 6 hours worth of work. So that's one reason why you haven't seen as many, but we try to make the ones that we do worth watching.
I think I like the lower battle reports that we've done lately, the 600 ones.
Yeah.
The narrative scenarios, I personally like the narrative scenarios the best.
Well,
the narrative scenarios are good.
They're usually smaller, so we can get it set up and get everything going a lot quicker. I mean, we did the 601 recently, Joe, and I think that took us right at 4 hours between gameplay and everything for setup, gameplay, recording, and takedown. And it does take a while.
Yeah, the longest part of that was editing it. I think it took me a day to edit it.
Well,
for the most part.
And one thing I'd like to add to that is, if you look at our battle reports, even like 2 years ago or even a year ago, there's just and those aren't bad battle reports. I mean, they're shorter, they're a little bit more compact, and you get to see like a game, kind of an overview of a game being played out. Now you get to see the pretty much the whole process.
Yeah.
And so if you look at our channel, there are certain timelines and time frames where you can see growth. You can see like, hey, these guys did this differently, and I like it. And that's what we're always going to try to do. We're going to always try to improve on what we're doing, and just keep going and just keep improving.
Yeah. I think that's where we kind of got the idea for the video games was, right now with 2020 being the way it was, we didn't have a lot of those journey vlogs. We didn't have RGS to make videos off of. We didn't have as much ability to do things and get MESBG content out there. So I think the idea behind the whole video game process was it's still Tolkien based, but let's explore some those, because it was one of those things where even if I record it myself, I can always put it up and watch it in the background, listen to it in the background while doing some painting. So
yeah, and
hopefully everybody else is enjoying them as well. Please let us know if you're not. We won't waste your time with it.
Yeah, I mean, you guys, we definitely love your guys' feedback. Like, hey, let us know, give us the subscribe, give us the thumbs up, even the thumbs down if you don't like something, and we can change the way we're doing it.
Yeah, it definitely helps.
But I mean, I would like to build off what Jason said. Is another thing with the video game ploy, I guess, is that if somebody who doesn't play SPG watches that video and then they check out the channel, they're gonna see SPG all over the place and be like, "What's this stuff here?" And they might get into it.
Yeah, that was another thought process, was let's pull more people into it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think this is kind of a quote-unquote golden age for MESBG with everything that's come out, and I do like the fact that the new supplements, they are, Games Workshop has recommitted.
Yeah.
The new release came out in 2018. We've had 4 supplements now with Gondor at War, War and Rohan, Scoring of the Shire, and Quest of the Ringbearer. So that is, I know some people, and I'm the same way. It's like, it is kind of annoying for them to keep coming out with like one of the 40K games does codexes or something like that, new rules and new models. So that can be kind of annoying. I do understand folks not wanting to buy that. But if you're just looking to play locally with your friends, those are great to have, because somebody in your group will probably have it. I know the 3 of us all have these books because of the fact that we are TOs. So being a tournament organizer, you need to have those on hand in order to deal with any rules questions. But I do think we're kind of in that golden age. I mean, look, Easterlings is coming out. Easterlings is one of my top 5 favorite armies to play, even if they do get their butt smashed. I wouldn't put them number 3 in my top 3 listed earlier, but they're probably number 4 just because they are really fun to play. So we got some new stuff coming out there as well. But that's kind of the thought process behind doing those video games is, hey, they're playing video games because a lot of people like watching streaming video games. Well, what's this other thing they got up on the channel? Middle-earth strategy battle game. Let's look into that.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, I'm down to question number 5. And before I ask this question, I would like to say, hey, anybody who is interested and wants to be on the channel or whatever, just let us know. I mean, we're especially if you're in the area, even if you're not in the area and you want to travel here and visit and you wanted to play a game and be on the channel, you're always invited. You know, always definitely invited. So my next question is actually
hit us up on Discord. You know?
Yeah, exactly. This has been Discord. Hit us up on. You can just leave a comment. We'll get in contact with you. So my next question is actually to Jason. When did Jason join the channel?
I don't know.
Jason. Well, I'll say this. So Jason.
I kind of have an idea.
Jason went to the first Ringo South, and that's how we met him. And then we met and did some gaming at the Games Workshop.
Yep.
And then me and Derek went to your house.
Yep.
And I was like, hey, you want to do this battle report? And it was the Gondor versus the Easterling. No, it was Gondor and Easterling's battle report, the first one.
That was our first one. Yeah, that was the first time I was on there.
And so you that's how you got into the channel, onto the channel, and you know, you've been part of it, so.
Yeah.
And I would like to mention something about Sam. Sam also, we wouldn't have the channel where it is now without Sam.
Totally.
And Sam, you're always part of the channel. You know, Sam is busy with life, but he will always be part of this channel. So if you guys miss Sam, he is here. He's with us now in spirit. Yeah. Another thing I'd like to point out is that I just lost my train of thought. Never mind. Joe, did you want to say something?
No.
Okay. So here's kind of a good question for everybody. Where do we come up with our content ideas? So I'll go and start. So of course we do the bat reps. We have several other different series we do, I guess.
Yeah.
And so I do two. I came up with 2 of the playlists, and one of those was the showcase videos, and the other one was the battle class. And so with the showcase, you know, I've seen showcase videos on other channels, and I was like, you know, we have some great beautiful armies that I have, and Joe has, and Jason has, and even John Spar, and a lot of beautiful armies in the just our community in general in North Carolina.
Yeah, the Carolina community.
And John Spar was just recently in one of the showcases. And so I was like, you know, we'll do these showcases, and one cool thing about the showcase videos is that it kind of gives you a different idea on how to like paint your army. You know, I mean, for example, when I painted my Gondor with the blue stuff, blue cloth or whatever.
Yeah, the light blue over the black.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people kind of doing that, you know, and it's awesome. I mean, it kind of warms my heart, honestly. But it gives people an idea, like, hey, this is how I can paint this, and then they can build off that. Hey, but I don't like the way they did this, but I can do this.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we got a comment on one of our videos, the rating of Polar Gear, where someone says, "I love seeing alternative paint schemes, specifically the fiefdom." And that was using Joe's fiefdoms with the Klansmen and stuff that had the red and white paint scheme for the kilts. And I was like, that's all Joe. I mean, so someone really liked that idea right there. There's another idea for, you know, just alternate paint schemes that people get to see.
And with go ahead, Joe.
The fiefdoms army, I was trying to go for like a because I did all their stuff was in red with white stripes, and I was kind of going like, there's this game we play called For Honor. And there's like you can play like the Knights, and they have like stripes and all kinds of cool stuff. So I was kind of going for that army.
And for the battle class playlist, I was like watching YouTube one day, and a Masterclass ad comes on, and it's like Gordon Ramsay. He's like, I'm the he's the chef.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, I'm gonna tell you guys how to do this, and I've put so much time in this. You better not screw it up. And that was that. I was like, huh. Honestly, we have enough kind of connections with the community at large. We could, and with all of our tournament experience, we can probably put together a panel of people and kind of just bounce off each other and talk about ideas for the game, and kind of look at, maybe touch upon some things that people never thought about, and it'd be kind of like a master class, but instead of master class, it's battle class. I mean, you're talking about winning in a battle strategy battle game. So that's kind of where I got the idea from, and we do plan on having a second season of battle class coming up, hopefully soon. So.
Yeah, we had started working on that last year, and unfortunately, with some software issues and scheduling issues, because what 2020 was, it kind of fell to the wayside. But I do think I actually have another idea for after season 2 for season 3.
Yeah, there's so much you can do with that series. It's unbelievable. Joe, I think you came up with the video game idea.
Yeah, I had the video game idea because when I got a new PC and I was like playing around with editing software for our channel, and I was like, well, I somehow stumbled on recording myself playing some Battle for Middle-earth, and I was like, well, this could really work for our channel, just have some content. So,
that's Lord of the Rings based, Tolkien based outside of MESBG.
And that's one thing, guys, is pretty much anything different we do with the channel, even if we decide to do like lore videos or whatever, it's always going to be Lord of the Rings based.
Yeah.
For this channel, so.
That's kind of what the whole channel is.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was my idea of that.
Which one of you guys came up with the Champions of Middle-earth idea?
I know
it's been several years now since you did it.
I think I did, and then Joe liked it, and that's kind of what we do. We kind of talk to each other about the ideas we have, and if it's something that we both like, then we go with it. And the Champions of Middle-earth was like, generally when you're playing a strategy battle game, there's always going to be outside forces where your two big heroes might not meet in the middle. And so I was like, it'd be cool if we just did those battles, and what would happen.
So for those who are following along, or like Champions of Middle-earth, what is that? It's an older series, like I was saying. I think you guys shot it last time in 2017.
Yeah.
But what they do is they take, the big. Now you could do a whole different thing with it.
The
fact that we have heroic tiers.
Yeah.
I think it'd be cool to redo it. But they did kind of what the Games Workshop. I don't know, the Warhammer, I think it's Warhammer Worlds website did, where they would do a tier ranking of hero versus hero and see who would play against each other, and then just do, work through what do you call a bracket? I'm sorry, I couldn't think of the name. Work through a bracket and see who comes out on top. And they took, guys that were pretty close to each other's points. So big time heroes, like you're saying, like Aragorn, like Lurtz, like Azog, and just pitted them one-on-one in a very small area and just let them duke it out for whoever was the winner. And they had 2 seasons worth of that, and I really liked those videos because they were quick, so you got to see some really cool stuff. And then it's just really cool to see one-on-ones between these heroes that, like you said, Joe, or not Joe, I'm sorry, like you said, Dan, you don't usually get to see Aragorn fight Azog one-on-one.
Yeah.
Because there's usually other outside factors, other heroes supporting, other models being in the way of the support, magic factoring in. So it's cool seeing these guys. I thought it was really cool. I thought that was a great video series that I think we should maybe look into redoing.
Yeah.
Especially, with the heroic tiers now, you can do Legends versus Legends and so on and so forth.
Well, and especially, some of them were, really awesome. I mean, especially when we had Azog and Dane, and then we had, Thranduil. Those 3 guys who were, Bard. Some of those guys who were, better heroes, I would say some of the better heroes in the game. Those were really fun to play through and see what would happen. So.
But then we had Fatty Bulger versus Beorn.
Beorn, yeah.
Well, that's where we would do tiers.
Yeah, I mean, we do, and it was funny. We kind of threw a funny one in there just to be like, well, we know he's probably going to get smashed, but we'll see what happens. I mean, we'll see who gets matched up against. Yeah. There was a really surprising one. I think it was like Bard and Lurtz. And Bard shot Lurtz to death. Joe was like, I'm gonna sit there and shoot you with Lurtz. And I like one turn killed Lurtz, I think, in shooting. Because I got 3 shots.
That was old Lurtz too.
Yeah.
Because this was before the new profile. Lurtz was what, just 2 attack and 2 wound before? And yeah, so he could die to 3 shots like that.
It's definitely a series I want to revisit. Maybe me and you can do it, Jason, because I don't think Joe's too keen on the idea. But it's something I would like to something I wanted to revisit and just do again, and especially with the new profiles and stuff. You know.
Well, I will say that we all kind of have our areas. I think right now Joe's been dabbling hard with these video games series videos, which is great. I've been doing the Army review series, and then Dan, I know you were working for a while trying to push the narrative ones. So we all kind of have our areas, and it just comes together and helps make the channel better.
Yeah.
So.
And it's like once you get different minds kind of working on something they want to work on, and it all comes together, it blends very well together. That's actually one thing I wanted to point out is we did 20, I think, pretty much last year. We just put up narrative scenario battle reports with the Easterlings versus Gondor as the exception. And those are fun because some of those, first off, you might not have all the models for the scenario. And so
yeah, we didn't have them for one of them.
Yeah.
So we just subbed some in.
And so people who don't even have that army can't really do that. Or they could, but they have to borrow it or buy it or whatever. And so if you wanted to see, like, hey, this is cool, this narrative scenario, it's good stuff. I mean, I think it's fun.
I like the narrative scenarios because it harkens back to the books and the movies. So it's always cool to recreate stuff. I mean, that's what the whole game was based off of.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's why I like thematic lists and things like that. So when we were doing those, that was a blast.
Jason, where did you come up with your idea for the army reviews?
Well, I'm not going to lie. I kind of borrowed the idea from Devin Moreno in the GBHL. He used to do how to buy and play an army series for like $100 or something like that.
Yeah.
And also the GBHL guys, I remember James Clark and Jamie Giblin. I'll say, is it Jamie Giblin?
Yeah.
Yeah, they did army reviews, but they were doing them back with the old source books from 2012, the little blue source books. And I've been paying attention to, other channels because obviously not only am I subscribed to our channel, but I'm subscribed to other channels as well. And I noticed that there really wasn't a lot of army reviews. So for somebody being new coming into the game, it's one thing to look at the book, read the rules, see the profiles. I think it's another thing if you can listen to somebody. Maybe they don't have knowledge of the army per se. Like I haven't played, what's their names? Wood Elves. I haven't played them really that much, but I understand the game, so I can talk about the army and kind of see the tactics that could be used there. And I thought that would be a great way to help new players or even existing players learn some stuff. Because if you're used to playing, 1 or 2 or 3 armies, like yourself, Dan, and you're playing against or you're getting ready to go up against another army that you don't have a lot of experience playing with or against, I thought those army reviews would be great to.
You kind of.
Oh, hey, so what's the weakness of Corsairs? What's the weakness of this? What's the strengths of those?
One thing I'd like to add to that is when you're reading a book, okay, well, I just read that book, and for me at least, I'm more of an I like to learn things by listening to somebody telling me. I don't necessarily, if I could read something and I'm like, okay, that's cool, but I don't really comprehend it as much. And so if somebody's saying, hey, you can do this really cool combo with these models in this army, then it's like, oh, well, yeah, you're right, you can. I just read it. And so I think that's another really cool, that's kind of one of the things with Battle Class we wanted to try to do is those 2 videos almost go hand in hand. They're totally different topics, but you could watch them and start learning different aspects of the game, different combinations, different things you might not have thought about, and it's a really good playlist to go look at. All right, guys.
Definitely.
We're on to the last question. What is the future of the channel? So, I'll go first. This channel really has become part of the hobby for me. I think Joe too, and probably Jason at this point.
Definitely.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think I probably bug you guys more about recording than anybody else.
So as long as I'm playing strategy battle game, this channel will always be going, and I don't plan on ever stopping on SBG. And we're just gonna keep doing what I said earlier. We're gonna try to keep coming up with new content, new playlists, new ideas. We're gonna retain the old ideas and try to do those, as well as come up with new ideas. And right now we're at a point in the channel where I think we've mastered it enough where it's really good content. There's always stuff you can get better at, but we've gotten some really good stuff going on. So that's kind of my 2 cents. Is we're gonna keep growing. We're going to keep going with the channel, and we're gonna keep going back and doing battle reports. We're gonna keep doing army reviews. We're gonna keep doing army showcases, and we're gonna come up with some new stuff. Joe?
Basically, like Dan said, the channel has become part of my SBG hobby. At times it will, and it has, and probably will still take the back burner to other parts of the hobby. Like, for instance, if we're hosting a tournament, or if we're going to practice for a tournament, I'd probably be like, okay, well, I'm going to slow down recording a little bit here. That's why I think 2020, the end of 2020 and the beginning of 2021 has been pretty good for us, because we haven't had anything really planned. But yeah, as far as I'm concerned, I'll keep doing this until I'm done with the hobby, and I'll foresee that, because every time there's a new release, for instance, when the Easterling stuff was shown, I get pumped up. I'm like, yeah, I want to have new models and verse new profiles and things like that. That excites me. In terms of ideas, I like doing the narrative scenarios. I think we did we did a couple for Quest of the Ring Bear. We did a couple for Rohan at War, or War in Rohan. We did a handful for Gondor at War, and we did one for Skyrim of the Shire. I wouldn't mind going back to Skyrim of the Shire. I think Skyrim, we've only done one of that, and honestly, when the next supplement comes out, if it's going to be a War in the North or the battle for Erebor during the War of the Ring, which I think it's going to be, I would definitely like to do that, because I think we're probably at that point, we'll probably have most of the models that will be required, I would imagine.
I think an awesome narrative scenario that we should definitely maybe think about doing, and this includes 2 armies, one that's very popular and one that's not really seen a lot, and that would be Fall of Arnor, because I've got Arnor models, and I know you guys got Angmar models. So that would be, I think, a really cool narrative scenario to get in there. And it kind of stands alone from these books. Goes back, I think that scenario specifically is in the Armies of the Lord of the Rings book. But that would be a cool narrative scenario, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. That would be, because you don't see Arnor often now, especially nowadays.
No, Arnor definitely got hurt.
I think how many tournaments have we been to since the new edition came out? Like, we went to 3 in 2019, right? Or 4 in 2019? Then 2 last year. I haven't seen a single Arnor. I was gonna say, I haven't seen a single Arnor army at any tournament we've been to.
Yeah, they kind of, the last time I saw an Arnor army was actually when I played against Jordan Moreno, and he had Arnor, and it was built the way Arnor needed to be, which was with Arathorn and Ardui and Malbeth, and you could get it. I think there was some other hero you could get. I think the twins, Eladin and Elver could be in it, and that was straight from the Blue Source book, and that was literally, I'm looking over at my wall, July of 2018, so right before they released the new rules. That's the last time I've seen an Arnor army, because with the new rules, you can't take Arathorn in there, you can't take the twins, you can't take some of the other guys, Halbarad. So it's literally just captains, Arvidubi, Melbeth, warriors, and rangers, and Hobbit militia, or Hobbit archers, I should say.
Yeah, Jordan was kind of the famed Arnor player, and so was Joseph and Ben. Yeah, Ben Boomer. They both were. Yeah. Ben Boomer did really good with Arnor. He played them at, I think, 2 Novas. So
3 Novas.
3 Novas.
Yep. Played him a little bit too, because you could also take, I think, Aragorn, Strider.
Yeah, you could. Yeah.
Yeah, remember I outshot your Rohan army that one game, Joe.
Yep. And then Seth did the exact same thing at Nova.
Oh yeah, Seth played Arnor too.
Yep. Seth played Arnor.
I always see Seth as a Rohan player though. That's who when I first versed him. I versed him at the first Nova 2016 we went to, and I versed him. I think it was the first round of the last day, and I was like, man, I was playing Lothlorien, and on paper it was a good army. In actuality, it needed a lot of tweaks. But I was like, let's see how bad I lose today. And I versed Seth, and he's, of course, a really cool, chill guy. And I was like, well, all right, well, I'm actually doing pretty good here. And then it kind of snowballed, and I just got, like, crapped on.
It happens.
And at the end of the game, I was like, yeah, man, he just kind of decimated me. He said, no, it was really close. And to this day, he keeps saying, no, that was a really close game. I'm like, you got that one in the bag. He just, he knew how to play Rohan. And if you ever watch Seth play, he's a good Rohan player. But he did take Arnor and did really good with him as well.
Yeah, he handed me my only loss at 2019 Nova with his Arnor. Or 2019. No, sorry, 2018.
2018. Yeah, we didn't go 2019, unfortunately.
Yeah, and then I versed him with my Hobbits the year before, so he doesn't like Hobbits very much after that game.
You shot him and throw stone him to death, didn't you?
Yeah, but it was the biggest thing that happened was we were playing Maelstrom, and my twins didn't come. Honestly, this is like the freakiest freak thing that could have happened. He had Gandalf as a solo drop. Gandalf didn't come in first turn. Gandalf came in the second turn. Then I rolled for my twins because they didn't come in the first turn. I rolled a 6 for them for their Maelstrom.
Right on top, didn't you?
I dropped them right on top of Gandalf.
Yeah, I would do the same thing.
I killed Gandalf in one turn, and then the game kind of. He honestly did good considering he was 170 points down.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's basically how that game went. It was on hold ground versus 70 hobbits, and then he lost a big playmaker in the first turn.
Yeah, Seth is a good player. He won. He took the 3rd place at RGS in 2019.
Yeah, and that was a very competitive tournament. I would say there's a lot of big names there. So
there was.
Yeah, guys. So, is there any other final thoughts on our? I would like to say one thing before we wrap up. Just thank you to all of our subscribers. Thank you to everybody who's stuck with us from the beginning, even to the new subscribers who are active on the channel. We really appreciate it. We do it for you guys, and 900 subscribers is a lot. Even when we got to 100 subscribers, we were like, wow, this is really awesome. Now it's 900, and it's like, wow, this is awesome. So,
well, I remember when we got to 15 subscribers, I was like, man, we're doing good. So I honestly can't fathom 900 subscribers. I do appreciate it.
We're actually at 902 right as of this second. So
I mean, honestly, guys, I could say from the bottom of my heart, I appreciate all the support we've gotten. It's been a long and honestly, it's been a hard journey. Honestly, sometimes filming is hard and getting content up's hard. Especially a couple of years ago when I was working full time as a full time student. So, but
yeah. I would say it's probably the hardest thing about a YouTube channel is constantly trying to get out good content.
Yeah.
I would say, going off of what Joe says, that's probably one of the biggest reasons is, I didn't chime in, but I'll say I'm going to continue with these army reviews, so continue looking for those, and I plan on doing more of the Legendary Legion reviews, kind of like Joe and I did. My goal, because I've covered a lot of them so far, but my goal is to at least get 2 out a month, and just go on until they're done. Maybe do some re-talks, like when the new Acolytes come out for Easterlings, do a little sub video for about 10 minutes or so talking about how the new models and how they're going to run in. But I agree with what these guys said. I mean, I have 2 big hobbies, and that is MESBG and shooting guns. And neither one of those is going anywhere soon as far as I'm concerned, because I can do both of them with my friends. I've got two different communities of people that we chat with. But like Joe said, the hardest thing is just trying to find the time, because Joe and Dan, even though they're twins, they live near each other, they've got two different schedules, and then you've got mine with a third to throw a third one in. That's why sometimes you'll go a couple months without seeing us put a battle report in. It's just the fact that we can't get our schedules to match up.
Yeah.
And
it's the time.
It's not that we're being lazy. It's life comes first.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it's just this last year has been so busy, and but we have been able to get out a lot of videos, and we try to get out as many as we can.
Yeah.
So, but once again, guys, thank you. If you're not subscribed to the channel but you watch our videos, please consider subscribing. That'd be awesome. It's first off, 900 subscribers is pretty awesome, because I watch a lot of YouTube channels, and I don't subscribe to them. I don't know why. I didn't think about subscribing. And I have started to subscribe more to YouTube channels, because I'm like, think about all the time and effort these people are putting into these videos I'm enjoying. And that's another thing about SBG, our content, is when you're playing a video game and just recording yourself playing a video game, it's pretty easy. And you can put up multiple videos a day, because you can say, I'm gonna stop here and I'm gonna cut here, and then I'm gonna post this video. I'm gonna have this video posting, and then I'll film the second part, and then I'll put the second part up there. But with our channel, it's like, all right, we have to film this. We're gonna film the battle report. I don't know when I'm gonna see Jason next, but we're gonna film this battle report, put it up, and then we need to have a couple other videos filmed, so if we want to keep putting out videos. And then okay, well, Jason, can you do our review? I'm booked up at work. Okay, well, I'm booked up at work, so I can't do a showcase. I don't have let's see, I could do the Army for a showcase. The Army's not ready yet. So it's just the timing. It just makes it hard for I would say this channel, especially trying to keep up and keep going with content. So,
and it is also one of those things where the motivational juices come and go. It's just like anything else in life. Like, for example, if you're a big gym buff, there's going to be days where you just don't want to go to the gym. If you're a big outdoor, garden worker, there's going to be days where you don't want to work in the garden. There's days where it's just like, I really don't want to paint models, and I really don't want to have to record. But the good thing is that thankfully we can do, I think the greatest thing for this channel is we really grew in subscribers in the last month and a half, because the Great Battle of Carolina's kind of got that motivational and creative juices flowing.
Yeah.
So we really just, all those videos came out, and Dan, huge shout out for how you got all those videos recorded for the event. I mean, you were able to pump out 5 of them right there.
Yeah.
On top of the new video game idea that Joe was working on top of the Army review I was working on. So there was a while there where I think for about 2.5 straight weeks, we had a video a day.
Yep.
And that really helped us out. So we'll hit a lull here probably, but it'll come back up. I mean, Joe and I are going to an event next weekend. I guarantee we'll have a review to that coming as well.
Is that the second?
Is it next weekend?
Yes, it is.
When are the lists due?
This Saturday.
Okay.
I actually might be able to go to that event as well. I don't remember what day it was.
The 20th. It's next Saturday.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go check my schedule. I might be able to go to that too.
Yeah, well, I'm driving.
I was supposed to get my I was supposed to get some photos taken, and I can, and something conflicted, so I asked off for that time, but I had to ask off for something later on, and I think next month, so I might be able to get that Saturday off and go with you guys.
Take a look. I don't know. I can't remember what the deadline is, but I know there was only supposed to be 12 people. He may be full up at this point. He may not be. So.
Well, and that's cool. I'll if not, I'll show up and just film or take pictures.
There you go. That'll work too.
Yeah.
Because he invited folks to just come and hang out as well.
Yeah.
So.
Is there anything else you guys want to say?
No, I think we covered pretty good.
Yeah,
pretty good.
We have.
I'll just say, they've said it, but I'll say it too. Thank you for everyone who subscribes and views.
Yeah.
We do take comments into consideration. So feel free to comment. There are some things we can change. There are some things we can't change.
Yeah, that's well said.
It's like when we get certain feedbacks on videos. It's not that if we never take into consideration. Well, it's not that we're not like, well, we're not going to do what he asked or she asked or whatever. It's like just like the way we know how to do it. And, you know, like Dan said earlier, we're trying to improve every video we do, but sometimes it's like, well, I'm not sure if I could do that, or we've always done it this way, so maybe, you know, but.
Well, and that's the thing is, hey, we're willing to change our ways. Like, hey, we've always done it this way, but this way actually is probably more efficient and better, and that's kind of what we're looking for.
Yeah.
So, just once again, guys, thank you. 902 subscribers now. That's awesome. We have a huge video catalog. You can go check out those videos. Yeah. It's massive. I don't know. I mean, it might be one of the largest SBG catalogs. I think the GBHL have a lot up there as well. And I might be missing. Zorp has a lot of videos, but we have a huge amount of videos. I mean, we've been doing this for a while, so go check them out. I mean, you know, we try to get back with everybody, comments and stuff. So feel free to leave a comment, subscribe, and even those who don't subscribe, thank you for your views and thank you for continuing to watch our videos.
Definitely.
Well, with that, please like, share, subscribe, and comment below. And as always, enjoy your Middle-earth hobby. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and stop the...
I don't know why I left.
Good job.